Namaste. Biography of Swami Vivekananda. The Parliament of Religions opened on 11th September 1893 at the Art Institute of Chicago. Delegates of different religions were seated on the elevated platform facing an enlightened audience of about 7,000. Conspicuous among them was Swami Vivekananda with his yellow turban, bronze complexion and fine features. For the first time in his life, this young monk of 30 was to speak to such a different audience. Others had come with prepared speeches, but Swamiji was empty-handed. When the chairman called upon him to speak, he requested he might be allowed to speak later. After several postponements, at last he came to the rostrum and was introduced to the gathering. But he was not himself. He was rather the soul of India, the voice of Sri Ramakrishna, the mouthpiece of Supreme Spirit, mentally bowing to Mother Saraswati. He spontaneously addressed the audience as sisters and brothers of America. The effect was electric. He had struck a chord in their hearts. Thousands of listeners rose in their seats and gave him a thunderous applause for a full 2 minutes. His endearing works had entered their hearts and they were deeply moved. Upon the banner of every religion will soon be written, in spite of their resistance, help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace and not dissension. His universal message thrilled everyone. The young unknown monk from India leaped from obscurity to fame in a few minutes. He became an outstanding public figure in America and was acclaimed as an extraordinary religious teacher. His life-size portraits were displayed on the streets of Chicago, and many passers-by who stopped to revere him with bowed heads. He was the subject of discussion everywhere. After the end of the parliamentary sessions, Swamiji toured the big cities of America in response to insistent demands for lecturers from different societies and centers of culture. He spoke of the glories of India, the greatness of its culture and spirituality. He also visited England thrice between August 1895 and December 1896. Two of his lectures there made a tremendous impact on the English public. The breadth of his religious culture and the depth of his spiritual intensity had an irresistible appeal everywhere. From 19th June 1895 onwards, for 7 weeks, he trained a dozen earnest disciples in meditation, prayer, study, and other spirituality disciplines in a solitary retreat in Thousand Slang Park. He taught them from the outpourings of his own spirit. Swamiji now longed to return to his motherland. Arrangements were made for his return on 16th December 1896. His followers felt sad at heart. He had inspired them to live a pure and spiritual life. They had found peace and happiness in their hearts. He is undoubtedly the greatest figure at the Parliament of Religions. After hearing him, we feel how foolish it is to send missionaries to that learned nation. What must be the greatness of Hinduism if it can produce sages like Vivekananda? He was beyond question the most popular and influential personality in the parliament. People thronged and hung with eagerness on every word of his. Oh, we can sit and listen to him forever. He lives up soon. Perhaps we five shall never see him again. But he has left an ineffable joy in our hearts that will comfort us to the end of our lives. Swamiji started on his return voyage to India from England. Thousands assembled to give him a warm send-off. Swamiji was moved by a affection of the British people. At Colombo, people gave him a hero's welcome. The little known and penniless monk who left India for America 4 years earlier was now returning as a renowned world teacher. Fruits and other offerings were brought by hundreds of his devoted admirers as he was taken in a procession through many decorated archways. Every stop of his journey from Colombo to Madras saw multitudes giving him resounding cheers. The whole country went wild with joy. If there is any land on this earth that can lay claim to be the blessed Punya Bhumi, to be the land to which all souls on this earth must come to account for their karma, the land to which every soul wending its way Godward must come to attain its lost home, the land where humanity has attained its highest towards gentleness, towards generosity, towards purity, towards calmness, above all, the land of introspection and spirituality. It is India. The longest night seems to be passing away. The severest trouble seems to be coming to an end at last. The seeming corpse appear to be awaking and a voice is coming to us like a breeze from the Himalayas. It is bringing life into the almost dead bones and muscles. The lethargy is passing away. None can resist her anymore. Never is she going to sleep anymore. No outward power can hold her back anymore. For the infinite giant is rising to her feet. At a small railway station near Madras, hundreds of people had gathered to have a glimpse of Swamiji. But the train was not scheduled to stop here. So the crowd flung themselves on the track and the train had to be halted. Visibly moved, Swamiji blessed the multitude. The enthusiasm of the people reached a crescendo in Madras, the city that was the first to recognize his greatness 4 years back when he had come here as an unknown sannyasin. His name was now on everybody's lips. The thoroughfares of Madras were beautifully decorated and triumphal arches were erected at every turning. Thousands jammed the railway station to give him a thunderous welcome. His zealous young admirers themselves pulled the coach after unyocking the horses. People lined up on both sides of the street, eagerly waiting for his darshan. It was a memorable procession from Egmore railway station to Castle Karen. On the beach where he was to stay, decorated elephants led the grand procession. Bands played devotional songs and sonorous chants filled the air. Swamiji was deluged with fragrant flowers, petals raining from house tops all along the way. He accepted all these honors calmly. He regarded them only as tributes being paid to the spiritual ideals of India. Swamiji gave some of his most memorable public lectures during his 9 days stay in Madras. Arise, arise, awake, awake from the hypnotism of weakness. None is really weak, the soul is infinite, omnipotent and omniscient. Stand up, assert yourself, proclaim the God within you. Do not deny him. In his lectures, Swamiji underlined the glorious religious and cultural heritage of India. He spoke of avatars and the unbroken line of sages who have blessed this land down the centuries. He castigated the social evils that are crept into Indian society and explained his own plan of action based upon the universal principles of Vedanta to rectify them, and painted the picture of a new India before whose greatness even its emittent past will pale into insignificance. Sailing from Madras, Swamiji reached Calcutta, where he was accorded a huge reception. Here also he was taken in a procession in a long decorated carriage drawn by enthusiastic youths through triumphal arches to the accompaniment of music and religious songs. Shouts of victory in his honor rent the air. Hearty welcome to the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Swami Vivekananda. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Long live Swami Vivekananda. On December 9, 1898, he consecrated the Belur Math with the installation of the Master's relics in the shrine. Thus the permanent headquarters of the Ramakrishna augured for propagation of Sri Ramakrishna's teaching came into being. He also drew up plans for the construction of a magnificent temple for his master. Do you all, my brothers, pray to the Lord with all your heart and soul, that He, the divine incarnation of this age, may bless this place with His hallowed presence forever and ever, and make this a unique center, a holy land of harmony of different religions and sects. Swamiji had the satisfaction that his dreams were coming true. The monks and lay devotees of the Ramakrishna mission began rendering yeoman service to society in the fields of education and medical care and to the suffering humanity during natural calamities like flood, fire, drought and famine. For 2 years, Swamiji toiled hard to consolidate the work in India. The strain told upon his health and he fell ill repeatedly. So he was advised by the doctors and brother monks to undertake a long sea voyage to recap his health. We are more concerned about your health. You need a lot of rest. A sea voyage will do you good. On June 20, 1899, Swamiji set sail on his second visit to the West. This time, too, the visit was a great success. Many became his disciples. A Vedanta center was started in New York. This one second visit lasted for 1.5 years. On this occasion, besides lecturing in several cities in America, Swamiji went to Paris to participate in the Congress of the History of Religions in September 1900. Wherever he went, he inspired people, but the continuous travel and lecturing fatigued him. He longed to return to his motherland. He took a steamer to Bombay, from where he travelled by and reached Belur Math in December 1900. How can we have the heart to put a morsel food into our mouths when our countrymen have not enough to figure to clothe themselves. My India, arise, where is your vital force? It is in your immortal soul. After so much of tapasya, I have known that the highest truth is this: He is present in all beings. These are all His manifested forms. There is no other God to seek, for He alone worship God, who serves all beings. Worship of man is worship of God. Worship Shiva in the poor, the diseased and the weak. I will go to hell cheerfully 1,000 times if can raise my countrymen and make them stand on their own feet. India is immortal if she persists in her search for God. But if she goes in for politics and social conflict, she will die. The blazing sun was slowly setting. Swamiji had been hinting that he would not live to see 40. But no one thought the end was so close. On the night of July 4, 1902, at 10 minutes past 9, Swamiji entered the Mahasamadhi. He was a born yogi and he died like a yogi, his face aglow with divine serenity. Today on very spot on the banks of the Gangas in the Belur Math compound where his mortal remains were cremated stands a magnificent temple dedicated to wonder called Swami Vivekananda. Thank you.